So picture this, you are crushing it at work, your friends see you as the together one, your social media looks perfect, and everyone thinks that you've got it all figured out. But inside, you are drowning in a constant stream of what ifs, checking your work 5 times before submitting it, you're losing sleep over conversations you had 3 days ago. This, if it sounds familiar, would suggest that you might be suffering from what we call high functioning anxiety, and you're definitely not alone. So I'm Tom Phillips, and today I'm taking a deep dive into a condition that affects millions of people worldwide, but remains largely invisible. I'm going to explore some research, statistics that might surprise you, and most importantly, practical strategies that you can use to break free from this prison of perfectionism. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 275 million people globally are living with anxiety disorders. That's 3.5% of the global population. And that number has increased by 55% since 1990. Reports suggest that up to 43% of adults feel more anxious now than they did in 2022. And one of the challenges with high function anxieties, it's not officially recognized yet by any healthcare systems. In this respect, I think it's like PTSD, which took years to gain official recognition and treatment protocols. Whilst people may look successful on the outside, they are silently suffering inside. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we know that anxiety and depression have increased by about 25% worldwide. Certainly for high achievers, this is often manifested not as collapse, but as increased productivity and perfectionism. Behaviors that look like success, actually a mad attempt to just survive. Unlike clinical anxiety that clearly disrupts daily life, high functioning anxiety is a master of disguise in the way that it shows up. You show up, get things done, exceed expectations, but inside you are dying. Internally, you are battling self-doubt, fear, and constantly overthinking. Psychologist Alicia Clark explains that people with high-function anxiety use their achievement as a coping mechanism. On the outside, they appear calm and capable, but on the inside, they are constantly worrying, constantly devaluing themselves. Another expert, Nancy Jane Smith, says that many individuals keep busy to avoid dealing with feelings like sadness, anger, insecurity, and all of these are just a reflection of the internal anxiety they're suffering with. At the core of high function anxiety is perfectionism. A study in cognitive therapy and research found that both self-imposed and socially driven perfectionism are strongly linked to performance anxiety, and this will cause physical symptoms and emotional symptoms. Your brain begins to treat small mistakes as threats, and the amygdala, which is your brain's fear center, lights up and you go into fight or flight mode, not because you're in any danger, but because you're worried that you might have put a typo in that email that you're just about to send. This leads to chronic overworking, skipped breaks, a fear of rest, and personal sacrifices made in pursuit of an unreachable standard. Often, children that have suffered with anxiety at school carry that over into their adulthood and their workplace, and that can lead to stress, burnout, depression, and all sorts of other problems. So high function anxiety comes at a really steep cost. Physically, it can cause problems like muscle tension, insomnia, headaches, digestive problems, and mentally, it destroys you. It takes your energy, it denies or destroys your capability. It's just not a great thing to be. Socially, you may find yourself avoiding plans, canceling last minute arrangements, and all of the time, people around you wondering why you do that because you seem so sorted. Professionally, it can manifest as procrastination, missed opportunities, inability to delegate, and exhaustion. So the same behaviors that are making you look like a star employee are actually killing you and burning you out. When you're suffering with high functioning anxiety, your brain is basically rewired. It's not working in the right way. Your amygdala stays on high alert. Your prefrontal cortex works overtime to plan, predict, and avoid disasters. Your nervous system never relaxes. Dr. Victoria Gall describes this as the perfectionist paradox. Your brain believes if you can just be good enough, you'll finally feel safe. But perfection is never enough, so the cycle continues and you never feel safe. Your brain has learned that rest equals risk. Some of the signs of high function anxiety include the fact that you appear confident, but you constantly question yourself. You deliver early ahead of deadlines, but you obsess over the work is good enough. You say yes when you want to say no. You feel exhausted, but you can't stop pushing through. You replay conversations in your mind long after they've ended. And you struggle with things like your sleep, your appetite, and other physical symptoms, despite the fact that you look fine outwardly. Now, if any of these resonate, it's not because you're weak, it's because your coping mechanisms have outlived their usefulness and you need new mechanisms or new strategies. So try these. Number one is the 80% rule. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for good enough. So if you normally spend 2 hours perfecting a task or sending an email, stop at 80% and ask yourself, is this still effective? Most of the time, the answer is yes. And over time, your brain learns that done is better than perfect. Number two is anxiety surfing. So when you notice that anxiety beginning to rise, observe it and sit with it for maybe 10 minutes. Notice how it feels like a wave. And then you can say to yourself, this is uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. And your brain learns that you can survive without panicking. Number three is to make values-based decisions. Write down what your most important values are and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it because I feel like I have to or because I want to? Number four is having a done list instead of a to-do list. At the end of every day, tick off what you've done and what you've achieved, no matter how small. You sent an email, that's done. You went for a walk or went to the gym, that's done. That will make you realize you're accomplishing more and silence that inner critic. Number five is actually schedule your worry time. Just set aside 10 to 15 minutes every day to worry. And when worry pops up, just say, I will come back to you later, and then use that time so you learn to manage your anxiety rather than the other way around. Number six is the good enough challenge. So once a week, do something imperfect on purpose. Send the email without double checking it. Wear a pair of odd socks, and you will learn that the world doesn't end just because you're not perfect. Number seven is somatic tools. So you can use your body to regulate your anxiety with techniques like the 4-7-8 breathing technique, or grounding yourself using the 5-4-3-2-1 methods. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can taste, and 1 thing you can smell. So remember, high performance anxiety is not inbuilt. It's something that you learn, and it can be unlearned. You don't have to sacrifice your inner peace for productivity. You can and you should look after your well-being. Pick one of these strategies, try it today and see what happens. If you like this video, check out my video on overthinking. Leave a comment, let me know which techniques you're going to try, or share this with somebody you think would benefit from it. Thanks for watching, and remember, you are enough exactly as you are.